Bonjour!
I'm Quet.
I'm Weilun. Welcome to the Gourmet Plate. We're in Paris right now and we are at this cafe called the Telescope Cafe. It's a small cafe, pretty quaint, and you barely see the signage as we walk by. Really unassuming cafe. It's actually quite popular. And for today's food vlog, we are going to visit a one Michelin star establishment called Yum Cha. But before that, let us start with the coffee. We got over here an espresso and a flat white. Let's go.
Smells good. The first hit you, of course, is the bitterness, and then slowly come with the sourness. I think the sourness is a fruity taste. But the sourness is a moderate sour. It's acceptable to me.
You can smell that milk. This has a stronger coffee flavor rather than the milk. The coffee hits first. Moderately bitter, some acidity, and the milk. It's smooth, but you could definitely taste the acidity in the coffee. Now, with coffee done, let's start our day. Guys, we are now in Yum Cha, and I gotta say it's a really nice small little area, and you can literally just see all the chefs. They are busy preparing the food through a glass window, and you can also see that from the outside of the restaurant. This restaurant is helmed by Chef Adeline Grattard, and basically Yum Cha is Yum Cha in Cantonese, which means having a meal with tea. And what the chef does is she marries French ingredients and enhances those ingredients with Chinese elements. In year 2010, they got awarded with their first Michelin star, and they were also featured on Chef's Table. And when I saw it on Chef's Table on Netflix, I was like, we gotta come here. And today we are here. I'm super hyped. As you sit down, you get served with some tea, and over here we've got some oolong tea. They call it the Oolong Phoenix from Guangdong, and we're gonna try it out. You could definitely smell that slight fragrance of the tea. Okay, we've been served with our first dish. I didn't quite catch the name. It's a sweet potato croquette kind of thing, and it almost looks like a chokodok. For Malaysians, you know what a chokodok is. Oh, I could smell the spices, the Indian spices. A little bit of heat, crispy surface. The inside is chewy, soft. I'm not too sure if it's sweet potato. I don't really taste sweet potato, but definitely a lot of Indian spices within. The spiciness, it lingers around your mouth, and that is a very nice feeling for us Malaysians. It's not that spicy, moderate. But this is a good start. It is a good start. At least the oolong here is lighter flavored. It's not as robust as I was expecting, but I think that works pretty well. It allows you to taste the full flavor of that appetizer right there. Thank you.
So on the right we have the red tuna Kijime style matching with beetroot as a salad. Afterwards is the mashed potatoes with feuillu, so fermented bean curd, and trout raw with sake. And this one is the sin tofu leaf smoked by the tea, vegetables and mushrooms.
Alright, so we are now served with, I guess, another set of appetizers. There are these three cute little dishes, a plate and two bowls. But I think we should start with the cold one first, which is the fish with beetroots. They added ginger in there, jiang. Very Chinese. And the fish, it's got a nice texture, a bit of chew to it. You don't really taste that much of the tuna, but that jiang is very important, that ginger. And I think there's some soy sauce along with some sesame oil, I guess. It sort of reminds me of Chinese steamed fish. Zhongyongjing. Oh, I like this. This is a great start. Next up, let me try the mashed potato with that trout roll. Oh, the pop of the trout roll. Surprisingly, trout roll is not that salty. The saltiness comes from the potato. Oh, now the flavor of the trout roll starts pulling through. Salty, some sort of umami. And I think they added like some chives in there. Again, very nice. The potato, it sort of pulls you in again and again. The texture. I like how it has a little bit of graininess in the mashed potato. It has a more rigid structure. This is nice. Time for that roll. The sauce underneath. Underneath will be our sauce. There's some toastiness, very prominent smoky flavor. Vegetables are crunchy, are refreshing. And the crinkle skin, it's got a nice chewiness to it. I'm not quite sure what the sauce is. The sauce is probably some sort of like to provide you some tanginess. I think there's some tanginess, some savory saltiness. A little bit of what I call 回甜味, like a slight like sweet aftertaste. The sauce is very nice. I like this the most. This is very interesting.
This is the Aramasa Brewery, and I choose especially this sake because for the first course I would like a sake very pure, clean, very fresh, mineral with the maritime spirit.
This is a pure sake, and it smells really good. It smells really good. It's surprisingly mellow, and there's this sweetness to it. Okay, I'm not a wine or sake guy, but the only way I can say is that it's like a mixture between a kid and adult drink. You know, it's not like super strong. It's got a nice sweetness that comes around. Oh, this is addictive. Goodness me, this is addictive. I like this. I like this very much.
So you start
Thank
with
you.
scallops, sea ocean, and dashi broth.
Right now I see why they serve us with a sort of mellow, sweet sake. Because our first course is actually seafood. This looks really nice and it's a cold dish. I'm going to just dive head in and taste this dish. Oh, it's brimming with seafood flavors. The scallop is tender. You could totally taste the flavor of the scallop, the natural flavor. And underneath, the dashi sauce is sweet. It gives a very nice sweet umami flavor with some savory flavor. I think we're gonna mix it up to really get a full flavor profile of this dish. Definitely oysters in there. Maybe some mussels as well. Yes, there's yuzu. Goodness, I didn't mix it well enough. There's yuzu in there. You gotta mix it up real good to get a yuzu. The yuzu is the master stroke of this dish. Once you get a yuzu, game on. Yes, this is the right sake to go with this dish, this seafood dish. The sweetness.
We continue in Portugal, in the north part of Portugal, in the Douro Valley. This is the Chardonnay grape, and Chardonnay very special because this winemaker put the Chardonnay a long time in a barrel to produce the Chardonnay with the fresh and light oxidation and with the natural mushrooms flavor.
Thank you. 糯米饭吗？
We have now the Lopaco.
Lopaco.
Yes. Matching with truffles, cecina ham, and the Lopaco is cooked, steamed in the lotus leaf.
Oh, this is very interesting.
Hope so.
Thank you. You can definitely smell the radish cake, and I think a little bit of that truffle smell. Okay, I can't wait to dive into this. Super excited. I'm gonna cut right. Oh, that carrot cake is soft. Okay, I'm gonna just scoop it up together with some of that ham and the truffle. can say this? It's really a marriage between Western and Eastern. You could taste the carrot cake is soft, but they've still got these cubes of carrot cake within. There's a nice bite to it, and the shrimpy flavor, very Chinese. The ham and the truffle, it brings the Western element. Ham is salty, savory. You could definitely taste the truffle's flavor, but it's not a strong flavor. And I think this is done very well because it does not overpower the flavor of the carrot cake. They've got these small little prawns in there and some meat as well. That is where the shrimpy flavor comes from. This is done well. And it being steamed in a lotus leaf, it elevates the aroma. There's this aroma that you only get when you steam things with lotus leaf.
So, Sida in a bouillabaisse spirit with octopus and cabbage.
这个是台湾的铁观音，是属于半发酵的茶。在发酵了一半的时候，然后把这个时间停住，这个味道是属于比较有一点点苦涩，然后配的是这一道菜。
I'm going to try to grab some of that fish, that sea bass. Oh, look at how flaky it is. I'm going to grab it with some of that sauce. I'm a little bit confused. The sauce is almost like a mapo tofu sauce. It's got a little bit of that spiciness. Then you get a bit of tang with that salty savoriness. Just if you have had mapo tofu before, just imagine it's something like a mapo tofu. Drop the spiciness by a significant level and add some tang. That's the flavor. The fish is firm, but not too firm. It's got a nice bite to it. And really it's the sauce. The sauce is good. Goodness, it's so addictive. That tang in the sauce, the sourness, slight sourness. And the consistency is really like that saucy, we call tahin, where you probably put in like cornstarch. Oh, this is good. Now I can't wait to try the octopus. Tender with a chew. I think that sauce is really been cooked with a lot of ingredients. I think there are probably some shells used inside and maybe some sort of like shrimp. So it's basically a very robust flavored sauce. Very nice. And that vegetable. It contrasts so well with the sauce because you could taste the natural flavor of the vegetable. This is that dish that gets the grooves on. This is that dish. Carry some of that 铁观音. Oh, this is strong. This is strong. The tea flavor, the bitterness, and it contrasts really well with the salty, tangy dish over here. Oh, this is a very good combination. Very good combination. We're on to the carbs course. We got here 炒面, stir-fried noodles. I believe they are egg noodles, along with French beef and onions, along with some cashew nuts. So again, you can see a marriage of Western ingredients together with Chinese influence. Wow, springy, little bit of chew, soft noodles. Flavor, the Chinese flavor, that savory hamyangmei. And the noodles have a little bit of grill marks on them, so I think that adds to the flavor. Wok hei wise, very mild. There is some wok hei, very mild wok hei. It actually tastes like 乾炒牛河, like stir-fried beef noodle in Hong Kong, but instead of using beef noodles, they use egg noodles. Let's try some of that beef. Beef is medium rare, standard with a nice bite. After you get past that salty savouriness, the flavour of the beef, it presents itself. I don't know why I use fork for my noodles. I'm Chinese, I should be using chopsticks. So let me showcase my chopstick prowess. Is it odd for me to say that this is the taste of home? It feels so homely to me. Oh, I love this dish. That wok hei, even though it's mild, is there. Paired with that wine. That's surprisingly well again. Not overly strong wine. Some acidity, some sweetness. I'm sorry I'm so bad at describing wine, but I'm doing my absolute best. So don't trust me on the wine comments. But this is good. Let's try the noodles. Thank you.
The bao, steamed Chinese veg, stuffed with Stilton cheese and amarena.
这个是绿茶，这个绿茶是黄山，加了灰黄山的绿茶，然后这个茶是非常非常淡的，就是只是摘下茶以后，然后它炒了一下，没有发酵。我们选这个特别淡清淡的茶，是因为这个包里面有南文奶酪。
Okay guys, the signature dish I think of Yum Cha is this bao. The bao is obviously Chinese, but the filling within is Western. It's actually filled with Stilton, which is a blue cheese, and amarena cherry. What? What? You can taste the pungency of the cheese, the blue cheese. It's savory. It mind screws you because it's a bao, and the skin is very soft. So when you bite it, you're expecting like a very typical Chinese flavor, but no, it almost tastes like it has. The key point is the cheese really. The cheese is melting inside, and it's got that nice softness along with a balance of firmness. This is such a mind screw. I can't wrap my head around it. Oh, the saltiness and the pungency of the cheese. Where is the provides a tangy flavor. The skin of the bao is so good. It's so soft, but here it's bouncy. Goodness, have I ever had a bao this good? Like the texture of the skin. I think this is the best bao skin we've had. And we are from a Chinese community, so that's saying a lot. I never knew blue cheese could pair with bao this much. Oh, gonna have the green tea that comes along with the bao. Oh, yeah. It's got a nearly grassy, along with some floral fragrance, and it pairs well with the bun because the bun is very robust in flavors. It's very bold in flavors, that pungency of the cheese. And this just cuts it down. Amazing, amazing combination. This is indeed that signature bao. Very good. I did not expect it to be this good.
这个是最后一道茶，是绿茶的基调，但是它的香味是我们把那个玫瑰花的花，或者是那个我们把茉莉花的花香加进去。这个茶是味道非常香的，你可以先闻一下。
Hey guys, dessert has been served. There are two plates here. One is what we call flan in French, which is basically a caramel pudding made with a lot of eggs. And we've got here, obviously, some Asian influence, coconut milk. And this on top, I'm not too sure what it is. It could be yuzu or something else. We'll find out. Anyway, let us quickly try this. Oh, look at that firm texture. Yeah, that's yuzu. And the coconut milk, goodness, for lack of a better word, it's very refined compared to what we have in Malaysia. I mean, ours is like really strong coconut milk flavor. This is like the essence of coconut milk, but done in a very refined way. And that piece of yuzu, it balances everything out. It gives that tangy sweetness, and that pudding in the middle it's very cake-like. It's like a moist sponge cake. Oh, and it brings in that little bit of that sweetness. I love this. This is amazing. Oh, oh, that flavor is insane. How could they even do this? They have really perfected the marriage between Asian flavors and Western in this dessert. This is crazy. The other dish here is, I think on top is caramelized sugar, like crispy sugar, together with some vanilla beans, and underneath is like a passion fruit kind of cream, I think. So I'm gonna very quickly break this apart and scoop one scoop of it. There we go. Get some of that yellow passion fruit from underneath. It's yogurt. The tang from the passion fruit and the seeds underneath. Oh, and the sweet bitterness from the sugar. there are even these pineapple pieces underneath. Oh. Refreshing pineapple. Again, a very well done dessert. They have hit really hard on desserts. Some tea. Light green tea flavor with a bit of that floral, that jasmine flowers flavor as well. Totally neutralizes all that sweetness and that tanginess. Amazing pairing once again.
So now we have the rice bowl with inside whipped cream and mangoes.
We have arrived at our last course, and these two cute things right here. They call it Ling Yi. Apparently the story is that Ling Yi is the name of the nanny that took care of Chef Adeline's kids, and she gave them this recipe. So outside is sort of like a very soft, I think it's a rice cake skin, and inside is whipped cream together with mangoes. So it's supposed to be like really soft. Ooh, look at this, it's really, really soft. Holy cow! It explodes in your mouth. It's so light tasting. You can taste the sweetness, the powderiness from the surface of the skin, and the chewiness. This is a daifuku. A daifuku with whipped cream within and mango. Again, they hit all the right notes. Perfect dessert end. Perfect dessert end. Fantastic. A perfect end to a perfect meal.
Thank you, sir.
That was an extremely fulfilling meal at Yum Cha. So we're gonna take a quick walk now, see you in a bit for plating time. So what do you think about Yum Cha?
Yeah, it's a very enjoyable experience. The service is good, attentive, and the people is very friendly.
And I think Chef Adeline has done a really great job in marrying Chinese and Western flavors in her tasting menu. The flavors are very well balanced, they're pretty well harmonized, and certain dishes are very intriguing as well. That said, the entire course did start off on a slightly muted side. Not to say it's not good, they are all good dishes, but it wasn't as mind-blowing in the beginning. I think the point where it started to turn and pivot is where they served the sea bass dish. I think that's where we started with that wine screw of flavors, and that's where the ascent started. Like very steeply, it ascended very well up to the point of the bao.
Yeah, I like the bao too.
Yup.
Amazing skin with the blue cheese filling.
Yup.
Oh, good match.
And that is really the largest umami bomb and wine screw for us. The pungent flavor within the Western flavors merged with Chinese flavor of the bao, the fragrance of the bao outside, and that skin, like you said, my goodness, it is crazy. And they ended perfectly. Perfectly. With 3 desserts, they are done very, very well. Again, marrying the flavors of Asia together with the Western flavors. It's a really fantastic experience, very nice tasting menu. And with that being said, Yum Cha scores a 1 plate on the gourmet plate, which means it is some high quality culinary with glimpses of genius. Definitely highly recommended. Totally deserving of their 1 Michelin star. Yep. If you happen to be in Paris and you want to try some Chinese with Western fusion food, drop by at Yum Cha and try them out. So I guess this is the end of this vlog. You have to chase on to the next vlog to find out what happens next. Hope you enjoyed this food episode. If you enjoyed it, do consider giving us a thumbs up. If you're yet to subscribe, do consider subscribing and hit that notification bell button. Till we eat again in the next food episode.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. It's freezing cold here.